I'm in the homeland. It's the land of the mildly free and the home of the mildly suicidal.
It's the promised land for the BTS fangirl with low self-esteem on SSRIs.
I'm in Korea.
시각 9월 12일 수요일
Dude, this is crazy.
What's your impression of Korea?
It's like hella futuristic, advanced K-pop shit.
That's one side of Korea. The bright, flashy Korea. The real Korea is definitely not what you see on the K-pop music videos or K-dramas. Reality is that it's stale and suffocating. Everyone's competing. Everything is numbered. All you are is a collection of your grades, salary, and physical appearance. Life itself is repetitive, mediocre, empty, and lonely, but at the same time, stressful and competitive. Cheap thrills and weekends filled with fleeting pleasures is the only thing that you can look forward to. But that's the same in the West as well. I can just see it more clearly and objectively as a foreigner looking in.
Do you feel that? Do you feel like the Koreans are like way more uptight?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Everyone's in a rush.
If you're like me, nothing scares you more than living like this. Living a life of mediocrity. A lukewarm life, lacking in ambition, excitement, and especially meaning. It's a life that feels mediocre and stagnant. It's a life that feels like you're not going anywhere. The reason why all our lives are so boring and mediocre is because we're all too fucking insecure to decide our lives for ourselves. It's not because your friends are boring or because you're not rich or famous. It's because you chose to conform to society and not choose the life you want. If you don't make your own decisions in your life, how different are you from a fish? A fish doesn't have to wake up and choose his major, or decide if he should shave his balls or not for his date. Fish wakes up, shits, fucks, comes, swims, and sleeps because his body tells him to. Fish doesn't decide anything. We as humans have the option of free will, but we don't practice it anymore. We're no different from fish these days. We wake up, study what society tells us is prestigious, get the job that parents say is acceptable, and then just work till you die. What major decision did you make yourself? What control do you really have over your life besides the color of the underwear you're gonna wear today? Mine's transparent. For some reason, I was born on this earth, and I found myself in this weird world eating cereal and watching cartoons. I don't know why I was given this life, but I'm not about to spend it studying calculus 8 hours a day and getting a reputable, well-paying job so that people at my mom's church will like me. That's why everyone's smoking, drinking, scrolling through TikTok and Instagram till 4 a.m. because you're secretly mad on the inside. You're mad as fuck that your life is boring and mediocre. And those TikTok binge sessions or partying is the only thing that distracts you from that. Our lives are no different from Sisyphus. Sisyphus is some Greek dude who's cursed to push a meaningless giant boulder up a mountain, only to roll it back down for all of eternity. He's stuck in a loop of meaningless labor, and cursed to a meaningless, absurd, burdensome life. We're all Sisyphus, except that we're Sisyphus who has an iPhone to distract ourselves from the fact that we're rolling some dumb rock up and down. And no, we cannot imagine Sisyphus to be happy rolling that rock up and down. Sisyphus has chronic depression, social media addiction, and is on 5 different SSRIs. Is this the inescapable reality of existence? If our lives add up to nothing, if our lives are really meaningless, why are we here in the first place? Why are we born? When I was in high school, I was the biggest monkey ever. Kids in my high school would literally know me as the head ass that does drugs every lunch. I'd take any pill, bean, bar, smoke 3 times a day every day, and just party just because it would distract me from the anxiety of living a meaningless, mediocre life. I used to look at my life and be so miserable to see how depressingly uneventful it was. I used to think, this is it? Is this all life is? Am I destined to just go to school, get a job, have kids, and die? Is my purpose in life only to reproduce like an animal? Why does the human race exist in the first place then? To just reproduce indefinitely for eternity? For what purpose? That used to depress the shit out of me, and drugs were the only thing that would at least bring some excitement into my life, but it didn't heal my existential dread. Carl Jung says there's two types of people. One that's completely satisfied with living an average life, and nothing makes them more happy than living normally. These are the type of people that always struggled with being average their whole lives, and they were always below average. On the other hand, there's another type of people who he says living a normal life is hell. It's like laying in the bed of Procrustes for them. It's like having your legs cut off to fit a certain size. For them, the normal life symbolizes unbearable boredom, infernal sterility, and most importantly, hopelessness. Being normal invokes neurosis in these types of individuals and is a nightmare, and their deepest need is to lead abnormal lives. I don't know if I have a desire to live an abnormal life, but a meaningful life does seem abnormal these days, so maybe I do. If you're like me, despite all of the pressures to live like everybody else, you're determined to live a meaningful life. Maybe it's the fear of the meaningless life that drives you further than the hope for a meaningful one. But either way, in order to turn your mediocre, meaningless life around, you need to have a purpose. If you're like me, you probably had that one purpose, dream, passion, duty, divine command, whatever you want to call it, that you buried somewhere deep in your heart as you became an adult. I always ask people what their goals are in their life, and most of them say, I don't know. But when I ask them what they wanted to be when they were kids, they can list 3 or 4 things right off the bat. Dreams and purpose came naturally to us when we were kids, almost instinctively. But we learn to give them up in order to protect ourselves from disappointment when we don't achieve it. You have to courageously act on that purpose, no matter how much fear it invokes. Your purpose is the only thing that can make your life meaningful, and it's the only remedy to mediocrity. You have to chase and hang on to your purpose with your life, because without it, your life is doomed to boredom, mediocrity, sterility, and your life is practically dead. When you have purpose, you suddenly have the courage to do new challenging things that slowly make you drift further away from mediocrity. When you have purpose, suddenly you're not pushing a meaningless rock up and down. You're pushing a rock towards something. You're pushing it to get stronger. You're pushing it to get somewhere. And that makes all the difference. My dream is the only thing that gets me through those hellish 9-to-5 jobs and gets me up in the morning. And having that kind of motivation and energy will eventually get you out of your mediocre 9-to-5 job. It'll eventually pull you out of mediocrity. If you have a why, you can endure anyhow. Maybe you have no idea what your purpose is at all. Well, first, stop distracting yourself. Stop filling your soul with cheap thrills and empty pleasures, and sit with yourself for a couple months. Stop filling your emptiness and loneliness with pleasures, and just sit with yourself, and ask God to be with you, and grant you the wisdom to know. Listen and He will tell you. Everyone gets triggered when I talk about God, but who else is going to orient you properly in this strange world? What else can you lean on in this absurd world? Who else but your Creator? Your relationship with God is the most important thing, and your purpose should align with your relationship with Him. You're completely lost with no sense of direction navigating yourself in this world without a relationship with God. You don't know yourself, you only know yourself in relation to God. Once you have this relationship, your purpose will come naturally. Think about how you want to affect the world. What do you care about? What's wrong with the world? What suffering do you see in the world that you could help with? Decide that, then take action to influence the world in that way to make it a better place. Fiends is my purpose. If you watched my first video, you know that I have a company called Fiends. It's the word friends with the R crossed out to spell fiends. It's the project to build a community for youth that feel lost and lonely, living in a disconnected generation. Under this Fiends project is this story I'm working on. It's a story that will spread the message of Fiends. It's a story sharing how I was saved from anxiety, loneliness, and addiction. I can't say too much, but It's a story of an adolescent drowning in his own anxiety and loneliness from the modern world, and he must choose if he will sink into sin or swim. After all of my personal struggles growing up, feeling loneliness, depression, anxiety, confusion, and nihilism, I understand now that helping and guiding the youth to God is my purpose. And Fiends and this story is my medium of doing that. So that's why I'm in Korea, to learn from professionals how to manifest my idea into a work of art that will speak to millions. I'm excited that I'm finally pursuing this goal seriously, and the fact that I'm doing this feels unreal and thrilling. And that's what having purpose does to you. It fills your heart with excitement, and it makes you feel alive. It vitalizes your soul. The world's not meaningless, absurd, and strange anymore. It's beautiful. These days I can't stop smiling. Take realistic steps and plans to chase your purpose. Become an active player in the world. Become a positive force in the world. Don't be a mediocre bystander. Become who God meant you to be. Find your purpose and escape mediocrity.